pressure and keep pushing back.
Tonight on DC News Now, the judge says the Trump administration has made no plans to bring home a Maryland father mistakenly deported. She's now ordering them to cancel vacations and get to work.
A push to sack plans to bring the commanders back to D.C.
Where we want to prioritize development of affordable housing in the city.
Their fight to prevent a new stadium from being built with taxpayer dollars.
Hi, everyone. Tracking more sunshine going into your midweek, but still breezy. I have that forecast. It's coming up.
Testing gun detectors in Virginia schools. The pilot program starting next week in Fairfax County.
Resorting to extraordinary measures, the major cuts as D.C.'s mayor urges Congress to restore $1 billion to the budget.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for DC News Now at 9 o'clock. I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Susan Tran. A federal judge is once again asking the Trump administration why it's refusing a Supreme Court decision to help bring home a mistakenly deported Maryland father. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was taken to a notorious maximum security prison in El Salvador.
The judge now considering getting sworn testimony from the Trump administration about their inaction. DC News Now's Max Marcillo has the details from court today.
At the same time as advocates sang and chanted for Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return home to the U.S., a federal judge inside was questioning Justice Department lawyers about why more has not been done. The judge saying what the record shows is that nothing has been done. This is despite the Supreme Court ruling the Trump administration needs to facilitate his return.
The government has many times before facilitated the return of foreign nationals, U.S. citizens, legal permanent residents from abroad.
What will come next is a 2-week discovery period that could include testimony from Trump administration officials, documents, and answers to questions from Abrego Garcia's attorneys, all of which the judge says will help her determine if enough has been done to facilitate his return.
This is still a win, and this is still progress in the case.
Abrego Garcia was detained by ICE officials in Maryland more than a month ago. He's been here in Socote, a notorious prison in El Salvador, for weeks now. The Trump administration has called his deportation a mistake, but says he's an MS-13 gang member. Abrego Garcia's attorneys have said there's no evidence to support that. He's never been charged, let alone convicted of a crime.
I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive.
Abrego Garcia's wife speaking before the hearing, calling for her husband's release, a release which Nayib Bukele, president of El Salvador, says will not happen.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
That was our Max Marcillo reporting. Meanwhile, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says he will be traveling to El Salvador tomorrow.
Yeah, the senator says he hopes to visit with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and make sure he's doing okay. Van Hollen also says he wants to talk to government officials there to help facilitate the Maryland man's return home. We're also hearing tonight from Maryland's other senator, Angela Alsobrooks, on the White House's refusal to bring Abrego Garcia back home. She says in part to have a president who not only disregards but so clearly abhors the rule of law will forever change this country for the worse. This administration's seemingly endless cruelty has no boundaries, and it will impact every single American. Meanwhile, D.C. will soon start making massive cuts since the House failed to pass a budget fix before leaving town.
The mayor's office is sending out an order to all departments laying out the process needed to cover this $1 billion budget gap. The mayor's office is saying that this is an order for all departments for hiring freezes, a pause in promotions, and stopping overtime. The city has already been in 6 months of its approved budget when Congress passed the spending plan that reverted D.C. back to its old budget. The mayor saying the belt tightening will hit all agencies while some can request a waiver. D.C. News Now's Marielle Carbone have much more on this story in our next half hour.
Accused of skipping out on paying a metro fare, then stabbing a transit officer. It happened at Navy Yard Station around 2:30 this afternoon. Investigators say the suspect attacked the officer with a sharp metal object. The officer did have cuts and a puncture wound on his face, but we're told is expected to be okay and did remain on duty. A suspect is facing charges including assault of a law enforcement officer and could be prosecuted. Meanwhile, the Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says that officer is in good spirits tonight. tonight, sharing these photos from the Navy Yard station, which is adjacent to the DOT headquarters. President Trump last month signed an executive order to crack down on crime on Metro, even as Metro Transit Police say serious crime is significantly down on trains and buses.
The Commanders created a whole lot of excitement this last season, to the point where there was a rush to consider building a new stadium here at the old RFK site. But a local group ready to sack the idea of using taxpayer dollars for pro football. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joining us live outside of the RFK Stadium. And Daniel, they're hoping to let voters decide, so tell us about this ballot initiative.
Susan, the campaign is called Homes Not Stadiums, and just as that suggests, they want more affordable housing right behind me instead of an arena or stadium for a professional sports team. Demolition is underway on the inside of the old RFK Stadium after DC gained control of the site in January from the National Park Service. Mayor Bowser has been clear she wants a new stadium for the Commanders here, but not everyone agrees.
We want to prioritize development of affordable housing in the city instead of paying for a billionaire's playground.
This afternoon, Chris Furnish submitted paperwork at the D.C. Board of Elections for a new ballot initiative to create a special purpose zone, prohibiting a new stadium and hoping for affordable housing.
I would love to be able to start a family someday in the city. However, I can't afford it.
Meanwhile, near the stadium, decked out in Commander's gear, Gerald Brogsdale welcomes the team back home.
If we feel we got the money for it, you know, it can be at FedEx Field or here. Don't make no difference. I'm gonna represent. I'm gonna get me a ticket.
Details of any negotiations are unknown, but Bowser hasn't ruled out offering a subsidy.
I'm not really a football fan, so I don't care very much about that. I don't think taxpayer dollars should go toward the stadium.
New stadium aside, Bowser has said she wants a sportsplex for youth and recreational sports, affordable housing, and open space in parks. So the next steps here, the Board of Elections will hold a hearing to see if this ballot measure can move forward. At that point, they'd have to collect signatures on a petition and be put on the general election ballot in June of 2026. I did reach out to the mayor's office and the Commanders for comment. They did not respond to my request. We're live in Northeast. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
Let's get a first check on the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Janessa Webb. We had a windy day today.
Yeah, you could still hear it in some of our reporters' microphones. The wind kind of blowing around.
Yeah, the advisory has expired, but still very gusty, and it's going to stay that way through tomorrow. This is not going to meet criteria of 55-mile-per-hour winds, but folks, definitely going through it. We had many trees down across the DMV and still dealing with power outages across the entire region. This is sustained, constant wind speeds that we're dealing with from the district out towards Fairfax County, 15 to 25 miles per hour, and then wind gusts. They have died down just in the last hour, 25 to nearly 40 miles per hour from Kaiser out towards Cumberland. And so definitely going to see much of the same for tomorrow. And these power outages, they have become a little bit more widespread for DC and surrounding counties. That stretches up towards central Montgomery County, Fairfax into Dale City as well. So tonight it is definitely on the cooler side. There's a good amount of clearing that happens. Tomorrow's a beautiful day, but a lot cooler compared to this afternoon before we start to see a big warm up. Have more on your extended forecast coming up.
All right, Janessa, we'll see that. We have new details tonight. We now know the name of the third teenager killed in a shooting in Spotsylvania County, Virginia last week. Police say he is 19-year-old Sincere Fitz. The shooting happened during an illegal gun sale and robbery in this Fredericksburg neighborhood, according to police. Now, surveillance video captured the moments before shots rang out. 4 teens are facing charges. 2 are 16 years old. 1 is 17. The other is 18.
New tonight, 2 young boys arrested in D.C. accused of robbing a business on Benning Road in Northeast. Police arrested an 11-year-old as well as a 14-year-old. Investigators say they pulled out a handgun, demanded cash, then ran off. Cannabis regulators in the district also continuing to crack down on illegal pot shops in the city. Police say they found marijuana and other THC products at the Dreams Wellness there in Northwest. They're also charging Eduardo Tejeda with illegally selling cannabis. Since the agency started enforcement efforts, they have since closed 48 shops.
Starting next week, Fairfax County Public Schools is launching a pilot program to keep guns and weapons out of their buildings. Randomly selected high schools in the county will have open gate detectors. Those are designed to detect items like guns and knives. You think of detectors that are already being used around the district in places like the Smithsonian museums. Well, all new tonight, 15 George Mason University students have had their student visas revoked.
The university's president is saying the school was blindsided, that the government terminated their visas without talking to the school or giving any prior notice. George Mason is now helping the international students try to figure out ways they can maybe finish up their courses. University leaders also saying they have no idea why the students' immigration status have changed, and they've not received any answers from federal officials. But the Trump administration has been revoking the visas for hundreds of foreign students all across the country accused of participating in pro-Palestinian protests.
And 10 community members from Georgetown University have had their immigration status terminated as well. The university also states they had no prior knowledge of the terminations and that they are monitoring all student visas. These changes come as part of the Trump administration's goal to crack down on immigration.